Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Speaking Nerds channel. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here today. I'm your host, Maya.
And I'm John. This is the place where we help you speak real, natural English. Not stiff, formal textbook language, but the authentic, expressive words that native speakers actually use in their daily conversations.
That's exactly right. And if you want to master how to talk about mental habits and thought patterns in English, please support us by hitting that like button right now and subscribing to English Speaking Nerds. Your support means the world to us and helps us create more content that makes a real difference in your English journey.
We truly appreciate each and every one of you. We love reading your comments and learning about your experiences with English. Now, today we're diving into something that affects millions of people worldwide, something that many struggle to express even in their native language. We're talking about overthinking.
How to talk about overthinking in English. This is such a crucial topic because overthinking is a universal human experience, but finding the right words to describe it can be incredibly challenging. Whether you're explaining your own thought patterns to a therapist, discussing mental health with friends, or simply trying to understand yourself better, having the vocabulary and expressions to talk about overthinking is essential.
Absolutely. And here's something fascinating, and please stay with us because we're going to reveal this later in the video. There's one phrase that overthinkers commonly use that actually makes their overthinking worse. We'll show you exactly what that phrase is and what to say instead to break the cycle.
And that's just the beginning. Today, we're going to cover how to describe different types of overthinking, how to talk about the physical and emotional effects, how to explain overthinking to others who don't experience it, how to discuss coping strategies, how to differentiate overthinking from anxiety, and so much more. Plus, we have a powerful conversation technique at the end that mental health professionals use to help overthinkers communicate more effectively.
So make sure you stay until the very end because that technique alone could transform how you talk about your thoughts. Now let's dive in. Maya, why is it important to know how to talk about overthinking in English?
Oh, what a powerful question. Talking about overthinking matters because naming our experience gives us power over it. When you can articulate what's happening in your mind, you take the first step toward understanding it, managing it, and healing from it. Overthinking thrives in silence and confusion. Clear language brings clarity and control.
Yes, and there's something I call mental health vocabulary that everyone needs in today's world.
Mental health vocabulary. Tell everyone what that means.
Mental health vocabulary is the collection of words and phrases you use to describe your inner experiences, thought patterns, and emotional states. Instead of just saying, "I'm thinking too much," or "my brain won't stop," you can say, "I'm spiraling," "I'm ruminating on past events," "I'm catastrophizing," "I'm stuck in analysis paralysis." This vocabulary helps you communicate precisely what type of overthinking you're experiencing, which makes it easier to address.
That's a perfect explanation. And these conversations require what I call vulnerable communication.
Vulnerable communication. What does that mean?
Vulnerable communication is when you're honest and open about your internal struggles without shame or defensiveness. You're willing to say, "I'm overthinking this and I need help," or "my thoughts are spiraling and I can't stop them." This openness creates connection, invites support, and reduces the isolation that makes overthinking worse. It's about being brave enough to share what's really happening in your mind.
Perfect. And talking about overthinking follows what I call the specificity principle.
The specificity principle. That sounds important.
The specificity principle is the idea that vague descriptions of overthinking don't help you or others understand what's happening. Saying, "I'm thinking too much" is too general, but saying, "I keep replaying yesterday's conversation and analyzing everything I said," or "I'm imagining every possible worst-case scenario for tomorrow's meeting," gives others a clear picture and helps you identify patterns. Specific language leads to specific solutions.
Excellent. And many people face what I call the articulation gap.
The articulation gap. Explain that.
The articulation gap is the frustrating space between what you're experiencing internally and your ability to express it in words. You might have a storm of thoughts in your head, but when someone asks, "What's wrong?" you freeze and say, "I don't know," or "nothing." Learning the language of overthinking bridges this gap. It gives you the tools to translate your internal chaos into understandable sentences that others can respond to helpfully.
That's so important. And remember that harmful phrase we mentioned? Here it is. Many overthinkers repeatedly say, "I need to stop thinking about this," which paradoxically makes you think about it more. It's called the pink elephant effect. When you try not to think about something, you think about it even more. Instead, say, "I'm noticing these thoughts," or "I'm choosing to redirect my attention." This acknowledges the thoughts without fighting them, which actually helps them pass more easily.
Perfect explanation. Now let's talk about the different types of overthinking. What are the main categories?
Overthinking can be rumination, catastrophizing, analysis paralysis, future-focused anxiety, past-focused regret, social overthinking, or decision fatigue. Each type has its own characteristics and expressions. Let's explore them one by one.
Let's start with rumination. How do you describe this in English?
Rumination is when you repeatedly think about the same thing over and over, usually something negative from the past. You can say, "I'm ruminating on what happened. I keep replaying that conversation in my head. I'm stuck in a mental loop about what my boss said. I've analyzed it 100 different ways. My mind keeps returning to the same thoughts. I'm rehashing old events."
Can you give examples in full sentences?
Sure. You can say, "I'm ruminating on the argument I had with my friend last week. I keep replaying every word we said. I can't stop going over my presentation from yesterday. My mind keeps returning to every mistake I made. I'm stuck in a mental loop about what my boss said. I've analyzed it 100 different ways."
What about catastrophizing? How do you express this pattern?
Catastrophizing is when you imagine the worst possible outcome and treat it as if it's already happening. You can say, "I'm catastrophizing. I'm imagining the worst-case scenario. I'm blowing this out of proportion. My mind is jumping to the worst possible conclusion. I'm spiraling into disaster thinking about tomorrow's flight. I'm assuming we'll crash, even though flying is statistically safe."
And how do you use these in conversation?
You might say, "I'm catastrophizing about my medical test results. I'm convinced it's the worst possible diagnosis, even though I have no evidence. I'm blowing this email from my manager out of proportion. I'm imagining I'm about to get fired. My mind is spiraling into disaster thinking about tomorrow's flight. I'm assuming we'll crash, even though flying is statistically safe."
Now, let's talk about analysis paralysis. What is this?
Analysis paralysis is when you overthink a decision so much that you become unable to make any decision at all. You can say, "I'm stuck in analysis paralysis. I've overthought this to the point where I can't decide. I'm paralyzed by all the options. I keep weighing pros and cons but never choosing. The more I think about it, the less clear it becomes. I'm overthinking myself into inaction."
Can you give real examples?
Of course, you can say, "I'm stuck in analysis paralysis about which job offer to accept. I've made lists, consulted friends, and researched for weeks, but I still can't decide. I've overthought this vacation destination to the point where I can't make a choice. Every option seems equally good and bad. I'm paralyzed by trying to pick the perfect restaurant. I've read hundreds of reviews, and I'm more confused than ever."
What about future-focused anxiety overthinking? How do you describe thoughts about the future?
For future-focused overthinking, you can say, "I'm worrying about things that haven't happened yet. I'm playing out future scenarios in my head. I'm anxious about what might happen. I keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong. I'm trapped in what-if thinking. I'm borrowing trouble from tomorrow."
Those are helpful phrases. What about past-focused regret?
For past-focused regret, you can say, "I'm dwelling on the past. I'm stuck in regret about my choices. I keep thinking about what I should have done differently. I'm torturing myself with should-haves and could-haves. I can't let go of past mistakes. I'm second-guessing decisions I made years ago."
What about social overthinking? This is so common.
Social overthinking is huge. You can say, I'm overanalyzing that interaction. I keep dissecting everything I said in that conversation. I'm reading too much into their text message. I'm worried about how I came across. I'm replaying that social situation and cringing. I'm overthinking what they think of me.
Can you give specific examples?
I am overanalyzing my date from last night. I keep replaying every pause in the conversation and wondering if they had a good time. I'm reading too much into my friend's one-word reply. I'm convinced I said something wrong. I keep dissecting the meeting this morning. I'm worried I sounded stupid when I made that comment.
Now let's talk about describing the effects of overthinking. How do you express the physical sensations?
Overthinking creates real physical symptoms. You can say, my mind is racing. My thoughts are spinning. I feel mentally exhausted. My brain won't shut off. I have mental fatigue. My head feels heavy. I feel physically drained from thinking. I'm mentally worn out.
What about more specific physical descriptions?
You can get very specific. I have tension in my shoulders from overthinking. I'm grinding my teeth. I can't sleep because my thoughts won't stop. I feel a tightness in my chest. My stomach is in knots. I have a headache from thinking too much. I feel physically restless and agitated.
How do you describe the emotional impact?
For emotional effects, you can say, I feel overwhelmed by my thoughts. I'm emotionally drained. I feel anxious and on edge. I'm trapped in my own head. I feel isolated by my overthinking. I'm frustrated with myself. I feel out of control. I'm exhausted from the mental battle.
Can you give a complete example of describing both physical and emotional effects?
I've been overthinking this situation for days. Physically, I'm exhausted. I can't sleep because my brain won't shut off. I have constant tension in my neck and shoulders, and I feel mentally drained. Emotionally, I'm overwhelmed, anxious, and frustrated with myself for not being able to let it go. I'm trapped in my own head, and it's affecting everything in my life.
That's powerful. Now, how do you explain overthinking to someone who doesn't experience it? This is challenging.
It is challenging. You can use metaphors and comparisons. Try these. It's like having 100 browser tabs open in my mind all at once. It's like my brain is a hamster wheel that won't stop spinning. Imagine trying to sleep with loud music playing. That's what my thoughts are like. It's like watching the same movie scene over and over, looking for clues. Think of it as mental quicksand. The more I struggle against my thoughts, the deeper I sink.
Those metaphors are so vivid. What if someone says, just stop thinking about it?
You can explain, I wish it were that simple. Telling an overthinker to stop thinking is like telling someone with insomnia to just fall asleep. The more I try to force it, the worse it gets. Or, my brain doesn't have an off switch. It's not a choice I'm making, it's a pattern I'm working to change. Or, if I could just stop, I would, but overthinking is a mental habit that takes time, tools, and support to overcome.
How do you ask for what you need from others?
Be direct and specific. I'm overthinking right now. I don't need you to fix it, I just need you to listen. Can you help distract me? I'm stuck in a thought loop. I'm spiraling. Can you remind me of the facts and help me get perspective? I need reassurance right now. Can you tell me it's going to be okay? Please don't tell me to stop thinking about it. Just acknowledge that this is hard for me.
Now let's talk about discussing coping strategies. How do you share your techniques?
I'm trying to practice mindfulness. I'm learning to observe my thoughts without judgment. I'm using grounding techniques to stay present. I'm writing down my thoughts to get them out of my head. I'm setting aside worry time instead of overthinking all day. I'm challenging my negative thoughts. I'm working with a therapist on cognitive behavioral therapy.
What about describing what doesn't work?
It's important to name that too. Trying to suppress my thoughts makes it worse. Distracting myself only works temporarily. Avoiding the situation doesn't stop the overthinking. Seeking constant reassurance from others creates a dependency. Analyzing the problem more deeply just feeds the cycle.
How do you describe progress in managing overthinking?
You can say, I'm getting better at catching myself when I start spiraling. I'm learning to redirect my thoughts more quickly. The thought loops don't last as long as they used to. I'm developing more awareness of my patterns. I'm building healthier mental habits. I still overthink, but I have more tools to manage it now.
Let's talk about differentiating overthinking from anxiety. How do you explain the difference?
You can say, overthinking is the mental process, the repetitive thoughts. Anxiety is the emotional and physical response, the worry, fear, and bodily sensations. Or, I can overthink without feeling anxious, like when I'm analyzing a problem logically, but anxiety often triggers overthinking. Or, they're connected but not the same. My overthinking feeds my anxiety, and my anxiety makes me overthink more.
How do you describe when they occur together?
I'm experiencing both overthinking and anxiety right now. My mind is racing with repetitive thoughts, and my body is responding with panic symptoms. My overthinking is triggering my anxiety. The more I think about what could go wrong, the more anxious I feel. My anxiety is fueling my overthinking. I feel so worried that my brain won't stop searching for solutions.
Now let's talk about expressing when overthinking happens. How do you describe the timing?
You can say, I overthink mostly at night when I'm trying to sleep. It hits me worst in the morning when I first wake up. I spiral during quiet moments when I'm alone. It happens after social interactions. I overthink before important events. It's constant. I'm overthinking all day long.
What about identifying triggers?
Certain situations trigger my overthinking, like ambiguous text messages. I start overthinking when I feel out of control. Criticism triggers my thought spirals. I overthink more when I'm stressed about other things. Social situations where I feel judged set off my overthinking. Uncertainty is my biggest trigger.
This is so helpful. Now let's talk about the other side. How do you respond supportively when someone tells you they're overthinking? This is important for relationships.
Great question. First, validate their experience. Say, that sounds really difficult. I can see this is weighing on you. It makes sense that you're thinking about this so much. Thank you for sharing this with me. I appreciate you being honest about what you're going through. Never minimize it by saying, you're overthinking, or it's not a big deal.
What if they ask for help? How do you respond helpfully?
Ask what they need. What would be most helpful right now? Do you want me to listen, to help you problem solve, or to distract you? Or offer specific support? Would it help if I reminded you of the facts? Do you want me to help you reality check your thoughts? Should we do something to take your mind off this? Would you like me to just sit with you while you work through this? Let them guide you.
What are phrases to avoid when someone is overthinking?
Avoid, just stop thinking about it. You're being irrational. Why do you do this to yourself? It's all in your head. Calm down. You think too much. These phrases are dismissive and unhelpful. They make the person feel worse and more isolated.
What should you say instead?
Say, I hear you. This must be exhausting for you. What you're feeling is valid. I'm here with you. Let's work through this together. Your concerns make sense. I understand this is hard. These responses show empathy and support without trying to fix or dismiss the overthinking.
Let's discuss how overthinking shows up in different areas of life. How do you talk about overthinking in relationships?
In relationships, you might say, I'm overthinking our relationship. I keep analyzing everything you say, looking for hidden meanings. I'm reading into your behavior and creating problems that aren't there. I'm worried about what you're thinking about me. I'm replaying our argument and obsessing over what I should have said. I need reassurance because my overthinking is making me insecure.
What about overthinking at work or school?
In professional or academic settings, I'm overthinking this project to the point of perfectionism. I keep second-guessing my work. I'm paralyzed by fear of making mistakes. I'm analyzing my boss's feedback and reading criticism that might not be there. I can't submit this because I keep finding things to improve. I'm so worried about the outcome that I can't focus on the task.
How do you describe overthinking about your identity or life path?
For existential overthinking, I'm overthinking my entire life direction. I keep questioning whether I'm on the right path. I'm stuck in analysis about who I am and who I want to be. I'm comparing my life to others and spiraling into self-doubt. I can't stop thinking about whether I'm living authentically. I'm paralyzed by the fear of wasting my life.
Let's talk about expressing different levels of overthinking intensity. How do you describe mild overthinking?
For mild levels, I'm thinking about this more than I probably should. This is on my mind. I'm a bit preoccupied with this. I keep coming back to this thought. I'm mulling this over. This is nagging at me a little.
What about moderate overthinking?
For moderate intensity, I'm really overthinking this. I can't seem to let this go. This is consuming a lot of my mental energy. I'm stuck in a thought loop about this. My mind keeps circling back to this. I'm having trouble focusing on anything else.
And severe overthinking?
For severe intensity, I'm spiraling out of control. I'm drowning in my thoughts. I can't function because of how much I'm overthinking. This is all-consuming. I'm trapped in a mental prison. My overthinking is destroying my peace of mind. I desperately need help with this. I can't handle it alone.
Now let's reveal the powerful technique we promised. This is the conversation method that mental health professionals teach. What is it, John?
It's called externalizing the overthinking. Instead of saying, I am an overthinker, which makes it part of your identity, you say, I'm experiencing overthinking, or my overthinking is acting up. This separates you from the pattern. You're not your thoughts. You're the person observing the thoughts.
How do you structure this in conversation?
Use phrases like, my overthinking is telling me that, instead of, I think that. Say, the anxious part of me is worried that, instead of, I'm worried that. Say, I'm noticing thoughts about, instead of, I can't stop thinking about. This creates psychological distance and gives you power over the thoughts instead of letting them control you.
Can you give a before and after example?
Before, I'm a terrible person. I always mess everything up. I can't do anything right. After, my overthinking is telling me I'm a terrible person. I'm noticing thoughts that I always mess everything up. The critical voice in my head is saying I can't do anything right. See the difference? The second version creates space between you and the thoughts. It acknowledges them without accepting them as absolute truth. This is the foundation of cognitive diffusion in therapy.
John, can I ask you personally, do you experience overthinking?
Absolutely, and thank you for asking. I'm definitely someone who struggles with overthinking, particularly social overthinking. After conversations, I'll replay them in my head dozens of times, analyzing every word I said, every pause, every facial expression. I'll convince myself I said something wrong or that the other person thinks badly of me, even when there's no evidence of that. What's helped me is learning to notice when I'm spiraling and using that externalizing technique. I tell myself, my overthinking is creating stories that probably aren't true. I'm also getting better at asking for reassurance when I need it, instead of torturing myself with uncertainty. It's an ongoing journey, but having the language to talk about it has made a big difference. What about you, Maya?
Thanks for sharing that so openly, John. For me, I experience overthinking around decisions. I get stuck in analysis paralysis constantly. Whether it's something small, like what to order at a restaurant, or something big, like career moves, I'll overthink until I'm mentally exhausted and no closer to a decision. I've learned that my overthinking comes from a fear of making the wrong choice, of disappointing others, of missing out on the better option. What's helping me is setting time limits for decisions. I give myself a specific amount of time to think it through, and then I force myself to choose. I also remind myself that most decisions aren't permanent, and that overthinking doesn't actually lead to better outcomes. It just leads to more suffering. Being able to name this pattern and talk about it with others who understand has been incredibly validating.
I love how you identified the fear underneath the overthinking. That's so important. Overthinking is often a symptom of deeper fears or needs.
Exactly. And notice how we both used many of the techniques we taught today. We named the type of overthinking, described specific examples, acknowledged the impact, shared coping strategies, and externalized the pattern.
Now we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, do you experience overthinking? What type resonates most with you? What helps you manage it? This is a safe, supportive space where we can all learn from each other.
Remember, overthinking doesn't make you broken or weak. It's a common human experience, and talking about it is the first step towards managing it. Your thoughts are valid, your struggles are real, and you deserve support.
If this video helped you understand how to talk about overthinking in English, or if it made you feel less alone in your experience, please give us a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more people who need this content.
Please share this video with anyone who might benefit from learning this vocabulary, whether they're learning English or just need help articulating their mental health experiences.
Subscribe to English Speaking Nerds if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss our lessons. We're committed to teaching you real, meaningful English that helps you express yourself authentically.
Until next time, stay nerdy, stay curious, and remember that your mental health matters, your experiences are valid, and you have the power to talk about what you're going through.
Thank you for being part of this community and for trusting us with this important topic.
Keep learning, keep growing, and be gentle with yourself and your thoughts.
We can't wait to read about your experiences in the comments.
See you in the next episode.
Take care of yourselves. Bye.